What is going on, everybody? And by everybody, I mean the 4 people who will probably watch this video. I'm just cruising around. It's Wednesday afternoon, around 2 o'clock-ish, I don't know. Not too hot, not as hot as I thought it would be. Pretty comfy. Figured I'd make a little video here, post it up. For those of you who have seen any of my videos before, which again is like 4 of you, you may notice that I'm no longer on the Speedmaster. This is my newish, new to me, Triumph Thunderbird LT. I did stick with Triumph. They make great bikes. I love them. This one's just a little bit different. And by a little bit different, I mean a whole new bike. It is bigger, weight-wise, displacement-wise, everything. The Speedmaster was an 865 parallel twin, weighing in at about 550 pounds wet, whereas this is a 1700cc, also parallel twin, weighing in at about 820 pounds wet. So it's definitely a bigger bike. Not unmanageable though, surprisingly nimble, very easy to ride. I recommend it to anyone. If you want to ride and like big bikes, this is a great bike. It's the touring package. I've got the saddlebags, the footboards, I don't know if you can see them here. Very comfy. Very, very comfy seat. Good for long rides. I plan on doing some long rides in the near future. So this is a great bike for that. And obviously being a much, much bigger bike with a much, much bigger engine in it, it's also a lot faster. Granted, it does weigh more, but whew, this thing can kind of pull. So when I test rode it, I was like, yep, this is it. This bike is fantastic. I love it. I want to ride it all day long. I got a great deal here at the local dealership, the Tampa Triumph. Hold on a second. Whee! Torque monster. Well, not a monster. It's pushing out about 111 point something pounds of torque. I don't know. I say torque like I actually know what it means and what it represents. I don't Google it. I don't know. I just know it means it's fast. People are always like, "Oh, where's your motorcycle from? Oh, what kind of transmission? What is this? What are the details? Give me the specs of your bike." I'm like, I don't know all the damn specs. I know how many wheels it has. It's 2, by the way, in case you're wondering. And I know how to ride it, more or less. I don't understand. Some people are like, you can't like a band unless you know all their songs and albums and their producers and who was working in the engineering booth the day they recorded it, where they recorded, blah, blah. Just, you can still enjoy something without knowing everything about it. I mean, I love The Shawshank Redemption. I think it's a great film. I don't know who the executive producer is. I don't know who the best boy grip is. You know, to be honest, I don't even know who directed it. I mean, I can probably guess, but I have no idea. However, I can still enjoy the ever-loving shit out of that film. It's a great film. So some people are just like, oh, well, if you don't know everything about something, then you're not a real fan and you shouldn't even be enjoying it. Only I can enjoy it because I've done the research. Pfft, whatever. Friggin' nerds. So anyway, back to the bike. Yeah, I'm really loving this bike. It does come with a windscreen, which, as you can maybe all notice, I have taken off. It's a little quick release windscreen. No tools required. Just pop it off, pop it back in. And that's great for, highway riding when you're going in excess of 70 miles an hour. But when I'm just putting around town like this, it's absolutely unnecessary. So I like the feel of the wind in my helmet. But this bike is definitely going to be the bike for me for a good long time, assuming I don't drop it. Because at 820 pounds, if I drop this bike, it's staying wherever I drop it. I'm just going to walk away and just I'm sure write that one off. Like, ah, well, that bike's gone forever. I can't pick that up. I am not physically capable of doing that. I am not a strong man. That's another thing. Like, I'm not a weak man, I would say, but I'm not, like, ripped. I don't hit the gym. I don't lift, bro. But I can handle an 800-pound bike. So if one of the reasons that you're, you know, hesitant on getting a motorcycle is you think you don't have the physical capability to handle it, then don't worry about it. Because if someone like me, an out-of-shape 32-year-old, can handle an 820-pound, 1,700cc motorcycle, and I like to think that I handle it well, for the most part, then you can handle whatever bike you want. I promise you. I'm not saying ignore your health. I mean, I should be working out and not smoking and doing some kind of physical activity. I'm just saying don't let it deter you. One downside of this bike, however, is that this bike, along with the Speedmaster, but more this bike, is Triumph's attempt to kind of break into that American cruiser market, which is a pretty big market, which is, as you probably are aware, is dominated by Harley-Davidson. Now, Harley-Davidson makes some great fucking bikes, man. They are good bikes. In my opinion, they're overpriced and not as good as people say. I'm not knocking on Harley riders. If you can afford a Harley, great, man, go for it. Like I said, good bikes. But they could use a little bit of competition. They could use some competitors to, you know, so they don't rest on their laurels. And so this bike is kind of trying to attempt to be like, hey, look, Harley, you're not the only game in town. Look what we can do. And they made a hell of a bike. Now, in that saying, the problem is because they want to make this bike so much like American Cruiser that people see the bike and they say, hey, man, nice Harley. Now, that doesn't hurt my feelings or anything. I'm not like, oh, idiot, it's a Triumph, not a Harley. Get it right, you freaking plebeian. You don't know anything about motorcycles and you're... No, I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to say, oh, thanks for the compliment, but actually it's a Triumph. And they'll either say, oh, Triumphs, I've heard of those, they're nice. Or they'll say, what's a Triumph? Which I can be like, well, and then I'll blah, 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 explain everything I know about Triumph, which isn't much, but I think it's that name recognition out there, because I think people should explore their options before just immediately jumping onto a Harley, you know? And again, Harley's fine. If you own a Harley, I'm not knocking on you whatsoever. I'm sure you enjoy the hell out of that bike. And as long as you have fun and enjoy riding, great, man. More power to you. If you want to ride a little freaking Grom and that makes you happy, good, go for it. Just don't assume that every cruiser you see is a Harley and that Harley is the only cruiser you can get. And that's all I got to say about that. So anyway, this is a pretty nice day. I'm going to get back to riding, so this will be the end of the video. I'm not really good at closers, so bye!